Hello viewers, this is Dr. Deepashri. I am an interventional radiologist. When I talk about interventional radiology, everybody wonders what is this specialty all about? Is this somebody who's done MBBS or is this some kind of a technical specialty? Let me explain to you what an interventional radiologist does. A radiologist is somebody who does X-rays or who reports CTs, MRIs, etc. So using the X-ray guidance, when we do a scan, we call it a CT scan. And using the magnetic energy, when we do a scan, we call it an MRI. So you all would have heard of a radiologist reporting and doing an ultrasound, CT, MRI and X-rays. But what is this interventional radiology? Interventional radiology is all about using X-ray guidance to get inside the patient's body. For example, you all would have heard of a cardiologist. A cardiologist is somebody who can get inside the patient's heart. If somebody has got chest pain, what do? Immediately you rush to a cardiologist. Why do you rush to a cardiologist? Because he can do something called as an angiogram. And how does somebody do an angiogram? They use X-ray guidance to get inside the blood vessels of the heart. So if there is a blockage of one of the blood vessels inside the heart, what do? They go in and they unblock the vessels. So they go in from the wrist, which is called as a radial approach, or they go in from one of the arteries which is at the level of the hip, which is from the femoral artery. So we have two arteries, one is a radial artery or the femoral artery, and you take a small tube which gets inside the heart and it unblocks the blood supply to the heart. So the heart has got restored blood supply, and because of that it will start functioning again. So that is what a cardiologist does. So this is using an X-ray guidance. The reason why I am explaining this to you all is to understand the basic concept of an angiogram. An interventional radiologist is somebody who does cancer treatments based on the same principles. For example, what we do is imagine somebody has got a liver tumor. Now, if somebody has a liver tumor, what are the therapies? What do we need to do? Is this just surgical treatment, or do we need to go in for chemotherapy or radiotherapy? Or there is a non-surgical approach for liver tumors as well. One such approach is called as chemoembolization. Basically what we do is, you want the tumor to die, you want the tumor to shrink in size. If there is no supply to the heart is going to die, isn't it? You get heart attack. If there is no supply to the tumor will die, which is called as a tumor attack. So based on the same principle, we take a small tube inside the liver, we go all the way to the tumor and we block the blood supply to the tumor. So what happens is the tumor will shrink in size. So this is a non-surgical treatment. So what happens is patients come in on the day of the procedure, which is usually they come in the morning and they get to go home the same day. So this is a treatment for liver tumors, and in our center we do these liver tumor treatments prior to liver transplantation. If somebody has got little bit of a shrunken liver, what happens is they would say you have to take that liver out and put a new liver in. When somebody needs a new liver, and if there is a tumor in the old liver, we have to shrink the tumor of the old liver before they go for liver transplantation. So this is a treatment for liver tumors. And one more thing is, most of the women, they also have something called as uterine fibroids. If somebody has got uterine fibroids, what is the treatment? Take the uterus out or take the tumor out? What do? Now what if I say there is a treatment without surgery? You don't need to take the uterus out, you don't need to take just the tumor out. Taking the uterus out is called as hysterectomy. Taking the tumor out from the uterus using surgical technique is called as myomectomy. So there are these two procedures which most people are aware of. If somebody has got a uterine fibroid, they go for either hysterectomy or myomectomy. Usually medication doesn't work very well for fibroids. Now what if I say you don't need to go for hysterectomy, you don't need to go for myomectomy, you can go for a technique called as uterine fibroid embolization. Yes, the name is very complicated, uterine fibroid embolization. Embolization is nothing but blocking the blood supply anywhere in the body is called as embolization. And we as interventional radiologists use this technique to shrink the size of the fibroids. So that is called as a uterine fibroid embolization for women suffering from uterine fibroids. Now what are the symptoms? What symptoms can you get if you have fibroids? See, these are the alarming signs or the symptoms that one needs to be aware of when you have fibroids. Please, please, please do not ignore the symptoms. One such symptom is heavy periods. Most of the women Sometimes when they have these uterine fibroids, they complain of heavy periods. When somebody has heavy periods, you are going to lose blood every month. And when you lose blood, you become anemic. What happens when you are anemic? You feel tired, you feel low in energy, you feel depressed, you feel irritable, etc., etc. So most of these symptoms, people attribute this as normal symptoms. It's okay, a little bit of irritability is fine, a little bit of tiredness is fine, is what we all think. But please do not ignore the symptoms. These symptoms could be because of anemia as well. You might be losing hemoglobin from your blood because of heavy periods, and that can give you this tiredness. So if you have heavy periods, please get yourself checked. What do? You need to come to us and we do an ultrasound scan. On the ultrasound scan, if we diagnose the fibroids, then we go on to do something called as an MRI scan. You all would have heard of an MRI scan. Now once the MRI is done, then we ask you to come in and we do this procedure for you all. Again, doing this procedure, it just takes about half an hour to 1 hour. It's a painless procedure because we give you nerve block so that you don't have any pain whilst undergoing this procedure. Now after the procedure, what happens? You get discharged and you go home either the same day or the next day. So this is a day case procedure. This is not something wherein you need to stay in the hospital for 4 to 5 days. See, most of the people, they fear surgery. They fear staying in the hospital for 4 to 5 days. This is one such technique wherein you don't need to stay in the hospital and you don't need to be bed bound for 4 to 5 days, and the risk of infection is also very, very, very small. So uterine fibroid embolization is definitely a boon for somebody who is suffering from uterine fibroids. Now, other than heavy periods, what else can you have? Other than the heavy periods, the next symptom that you can have is a little bit of dull ache in your lower tummy. Some kind of heaviness in your lower tummy, as though you're carrying a baby. So that is also one of the symptoms of uterine fibroids. The other symptom, some people, they can have increased frequency of urination. So wherein you feel like going to toilet again and again. So that is again one of the symptoms. So if you have all these symptoms, please, please, please do not ignore these symptoms. Using an interventional radiology technique, which is a non-surgical technique, we can get inside the uterus and we can save the uterus. Your uterus is still there intact. All that we are doing is blocking the blood supply to the fibroid, and you get to go home the same day or the next day. So this is one such treatment. And if you ask me, there are a lot of other things that an interventional radiologist can do. One of the things that I would say is infertility. Most of the women, or some few women rather, they, struggling to have babies, struggling to conceive because of infertility issues. One of the reasons for infertility could be because of a blocked fallopian tube. What is a fallopian tube? The name may sound a little technical, but it's actually very simple to understand once I explain to you. A fallopian tube is a small tube which connects your uterus to your ovaries. In between the two, we have something called as a fallopian tube, which is a connecting tube. Now this connecting tube carries your egg to the uterus, and that is where it meets the sperm, and that's how the baby is formed. If there is a blockage in the fallopian tube, there may be difficulty in conceiving. There may be difficulty in falling pregnant. Now what do we do if somebody has got blocked fallopian tube? Can we do something about it? Yes, we can do something about it in interventional radiology using a technique wherein we pass a small tube into the fallopian tube and we unblock the tube. Again, you come in on the day of the procedure in the morning. It's completely painless and you get to go home the same day. Recently, we had one such patient who came to us. For 3 years, she was struggling to become pregnant, and she came to us, and using this technique, we unblocked her tube and she became pregnant within 6 weeks after doing this particular test. And I think now she is ready for the baby is due anytime now. So this is one such refined technique that can be used for infertility cases, especially in women. Now, I've been talking about women all the time. Do we do something in men as well? Because of infertility is not always because of women. Infertility can be because of men as well. Now, what happens because of infertility, or what are the causes of infertility in men? One of the causes is low sperm count. Yeah. So why do men have low sperm count? One of the causes could be because of dilated blood vessels around the testis. Yeah. So dilated blood vessels around the testis can also cause low sperm count. What can we do as interventional radiologists? We do something called as varicocele embolization. Now the time is very little for me to explain to you in detail as to what a varicocele embolization is. I will explain to you in my later shows if I get a chance to do this, but then a varicocele embolization is again blocking the blood supply to the veins around the testis. Using this technique, we can improve the sperm count. This is a non-surgical technique. And again, we had several patients who were benefited by varicocele embolization, which is one of the causes of male infertility. Now, as I mentioned to you, varicocele, varico means anywhere where there is a dilatation is called as a varicose. Now, some people also have something called as varicose veins in the legs. Now, interventional radiologist has got a significant role, a significant part to play when it comes to treatment of the varicose veins. Varicose veins are dilated veins in the legs. So, these varicose veins in the legs, what happens when somebody has got varicose veins? They get a dull ache, some kind of an aching sensation in the legs. Especially this happens for people who have been standing for prolonged periods, people who have been construction workers, the civil engineers, conductors in the buses, or the traffic policemen, people who have been standing for long, even women who are cooking and standing for long periods, they also tend to get something called as varicose veins. Now, if they have varicose veins, what has been the approach? Usually they do something called as stripping, which is using a surgical technique, they take it out. But in interventional radiology, we don't have to go for a surgical technique. We do something called as ablation. Again, the name may sound a little harsh. Ablation is nothing but burning the entire vein is called as ablation. How do we ablate a vein? Using something called as a laser. You all would have heard of laser, and there is something called as a microwave also. So basically we use heat to burn the entire vein, and the way we do it is very simple. When you go to hospital, if you fall ill, you would have heard people are going to put a small tube in your veins, in your arm veins, to give glucose and etc., to get you IV fluids. Similar technique is used. We use a small cannula, and the cannula is put inside the leg vein, and we use a laser fiber or a microwave antenna, and we burn the entire vein. Again, this is painless. Patients come in on the day of the procedure and they get to go home the same day. You may ask me, how effective is this? Do we get varicose veins after this treatment? The chances of getting varicose veins once we do laser ablation or microwave ablation is very little, and several patients were benefited by the microwave ablation because it's a non-surgical technique and you get to go home the same day or the next day, and you can resume your work within 2 or 3 days after doing this procedure. So these are all the range of procedures we as interventional radiologists do. So until now, we spoke about varicose veins treatment, we spoke about the fibroid treatment, we also spoke about the liver cancer treatment. There are several cancers which can be treated using an interventional radiology technique. Either we block the blood supply or we burn the tumor. So burning the tumor or burning the vein is called as ablation. Blocking the blood supply is called as embolization. Now, what else do we do as interventional radiologists? One thing that I really wanted to mention is the pain management. Most of us have got aches and pains somewhere or the other. Some of us have pain in the shoulders, some of us have got pain in the back, some of us have pain in the knees. You just call it, I name it. I mean, the pain can be anywhere in the body. And what do we do when we have pain? Some of us, we choose to live with the pain, whilst some of us, we do not want to live with the pain. So we go in and grab some painkillers and then we take the painkillers. Now, most of us, when we take painkillers, it feels good as long as you take the painkillers. But unfortunately, taking painkillers in the long run is probably not good for all of us because it has got a lot of side effects. Most of us, we have gastritis or some kind of a stomach upset when you take painkillers. Now, what do we do? Now, without any of these side effects, can we do something about the pain? Why should somebody live in debilitating pain? We need to kill the pain without any side effects. Now, one sure way of killing the pain without any side effects is using the interventional radiology technique. For example, if somebody has got a pain in the shoulder, what if I can identify the painful spot using an ultrasound guidance, and I pass a small needle into the joint and I give you an injection? This gives you pain relief for approximately 6 months to start with. Some people, they are pain free for more than a year as well, but most of the times this works for minimum 6 months. If somebody has got a painful knee, somebody has got a painful back, we can go in and we either give injection or we can also go in and burn the nerve roots. This is called as a nerve ablation or nerve block for somebody who is suffering from a debilitating pain. So please, please, please do not ignore the symptoms of pain. If you have pain, by all means you can come to us. Something could be done about it, because life is all about having good quality, and interventional radiology can certainly save lives and also offer good quality to most people suffering from pain. Moving on further, you may ask me, is that it, or is there anything else in the gamut of interventional radiology? One thing is dialysis patients. People who have dialysis fistulas, people who have got kidney failure, you all would have known they create something called as a fistula. A fistula is a connection between an artery and a vein. Using this fistula, the renal failure patients are dialyzed. So the blood is purified using these connections called as fistulas. If you have a blockage of a fistula, using the interventional radiology technique, we can go and unblock the fistula. Most of the times, if one fistula is blocked, people go in and create another fistula. There is no need to do that. So especially in dialysis patients who are having the kidney failure, we can go in and do something about it. So these are all the range of procedures that we as interventional radiologists can do. And we also do something called as line insertions. People who require long-term chemotherapy. You know, chemotherapy is something which is given for patients suffering from cancer. You cannot go in every time and get a line inside your one of the arms every time. So what we can do is we can do something called as a long-term line insertion for chemotherapy. These are also called as ports, which are embedded under the skin. This is similar to a pacemaker. We put a small tube underneath the skin, and this is a chemotherapy lines and ports insertion for somebody who needs a line for chemotherapy. Now you may ask me, why am I talking so much about these interventional radiology procedures? Why don't I just go and get a chemotherapy done? What is the advantage of an interventional radiology procedure over a simple chemotherapy that we often get? I can tell you the difference between the chemotherapy that you get from a vein here or in the form of a tablet to the methods that we use. When you have a chemotherapy using a tablet form, or when you have an injection, the chemotherapy infusion, the drug is reaching your entire body. So when it reaches your entire body, what happens is the number of side effects because of chemotherapy can be more compared to the targeted therapy that I'm talking about. When we do a liver cancer treatment, what we do is we are going very close to the tumor and we are injecting the medicine very close to the tumor. So most of the drug that I inject is getting deposited inside the liver tumor first. So the amount of medicine which reaches the rest of the body is very, very minimal compared to the chemotherapy infusion that you normally get. I hope it is clear. Normally when we do chemotherapy, it has got a lot of systemic side effects. You know, you may feel tired, some people can have fever, some people can also have, the hair fall or whatever you may call. All these symptoms are because of the general chemotherapy that you get. But again, chemotherapy can be unavoidable in certain cases. I'm not saying chemotherapy should not be taken, but in circumstances where chemotherapy is required, you need to go for chemotherapy. But in certain liver tumors, we can go directly for the targeted therapy. Targeted therapy has got less side effects compared to the chemotherapy that you normally get, and that is the advantage of the procedures that I am talking about. So now we have spoken about the range of procedures. One is the cancer treatments. Although I've been talking about the liver, the same thing could be done for the kidney tumors as well. There are certain kidney tumors wherein you don't need to go in and take out the kidney. We can go in and burn the tumor, or we can block the blood supply to the tumor. So we spoke about the cancer treatment, we spoke about the pain management, we spoke about uterine fibroids, we also spoke about the infertility in women, infertility in men, and we spoke about the varicose veins in the legs, and finally we spoke about the dialysis as well, the fistulas in dialysis patients. What else can we do? One important thing is the management of stroke. You all would have heard when people have stroke, it is similar to heart attack. When there is a blockage of the blood supply to the heart, people get heart attack. So cardiologist gets inside the heart vessels and unblocks. This is what I started my talk with. Now, other than that, can we do something about people who have stroke? Most people have got paralysis because of the stroke. The most important thing we say is time is tissue. As soon as we detect the signs of stroke, which is kind of drooping of your mouth to one side, or some kind of a weakness in your arms or legs, immediately you need to rush to the hospital, because again here time is tissue. If you are wasting time not calling the ambulance, then the brain may become dead. If it is dead, we cannot restore the blood supply to the brain. No matter what we do, if the patient comes late, it is going to be futile. So the efforts would be futile if you arrive late to the hospital. So please make sure, if you have signs of stroke, please do come to the hospital immediately, because these are all the warning signs that one needs to recognize. And we as interventional radiologists can get inside the brain vessels and we can take out the clot. This technique of removing the clot from the brain arteries is called as thrombectomy. Thrombectomy is a technique to take out the clot from the brain vessels, thereby restoring the blood supply to the brain, and we can avoid paralysis. Just imagine somebody with stroke who has a poor quality of life for the rest of their lives. I don't think we should do that. So please recognize the early signs. Similar to the chest pain, you have the stroke signs and symptoms as well, and do rush to the hospital or a neighboring hospital immediately. So these are all the range of procedures that we as interventional radiologists can offer. And finally, before I wind up, I really wanted to mention to you all about the lumps or bumps anywhere in the body. All these tumors that we are talking about, it starts small and then it becomes big. When you have a small sized tumor, whether it is a breast cancer or you notice some lump anywhere, please do not ignore those early signs. As soon as you diagnose something, as soon as you detect something, please rush to us, please come to us immediately, and we can do something about it. We do something called as a biopsy, wherein we take a small sample from the tumor. We identify the tumor cell. Nowadays, cancer is curable. Who says cancer is not curable? Provided it is diagnosed early. If detected early, we need not worry about cancer, because we can definitely offer some kind of a curative therapy for most of the cancers these days. And again, as I mentioned about the breast tumor, is again something most women, they dread about examining their own breasts. Please, the number one thing that we all need to do is something called as a self-examination of the breast, especially if there is a family history of breast cancer. Even women less than 40 should have some kind of a self-examination of the breast, so that early cancer can be detected, and if it is detected early, this can be cured as well. And again, for women who are above 45, they need to get something called as a mammogram. Mammogram is a mandatory thing. It's a screening test to diagnose or to detect early breast cancers. And unfortunately, the awareness is lacking, especially in some of the countries. And again, India is one such country wherein the awareness about breast cancer is totally lacking. So please, please get mammogram done if you're above 45. And even if you're less than 45, if you fall into a high risk category because of the family history of breast cancer, or if you notice some kind of a lump on the self-examination, please ensure you get either a mammogram done or an ultrasound and get yourself checked. Now, before I wind up, one important piece of information that I want to tell you all is about the physical exercise. Now, everybody talks about exercise, exercise and exercise. Everybody knows that exercise is good for us, but why is it good for us? If I tell you in terms of medical language, stress is something which is there for all of us, isn't it? Including a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old to a 90-year-old, everybody is complaining of stress. Stress releases a hormone called as cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone which is a stress hormone. Now, when we are stressed, because of the cortisol, we have a lot of effects on our own body. Cortisol can increase the blood sugars. When it increases the blood sugars, people with diabetes, their blood sugars become very, very erratic. Cortisol can also decrease the immune system. When your immunity is low, now with the COVID pandemic, everybody is aware of the immune status and the immunity. Stress can decrease the immunity. And how do you combat the stress, or how do you decrease the stress? The only way to decrease the stress, or one of the most important methods to decrease the stress, is by exercise. what happens when you exercise? When you exercise, you release something called as serotonin. Serotonin is a hormone which is a feel-good hormone which is released with any kind of a physical movement. It could be a short walk, it could be it could be anything. Just move out of your couch, and that actually produces this particular hormone called as serotonin. It's a feel-good hormone. Now, when the serotonin is high, cortisol cannot survive in your blood. So basically, increased levels of serotonin decrease your cortisol levels. Now, I told you cortisol is a stress hormone, and this is how an exercise can help you all with boosting your immunity and also by decreasing your stress hormone levels. And at the same time, vitamin D, all of us are popping vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D to boost our immunity. Vitamin D is widely available. We don't need to take it as tablet form or the capsule form. Vitamin D is widely available in the sunlight, and unfortunately we don't get exposed to sunlight that often, and the time of exposure to sunlight also matters. The most important thing is it's between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is when you need to get exposed to the sunlight to make the most of vitamin D. If we are vitamin D deficient, we not only have got bad bones, but we also have aches and pains all over the body, irritability, confusion, depression. These are all the signs of vitamin D deficiency. So please, if you think that you have any of these signs and symptoms, you could be vitamin D deficient as well. You can get yourself checked at any local center. You can do a simple blood test to detect your vitamin D levels, and if you're low in vitamin D levels, either get exposed to sunlight or you can take some kind of vitamin D boosting medication. So these are all the important things, small things that we can do in our day-to-day lives. So physical exercise, and at the same time having an awareness about the specialty that I'm talking about will give you an insight into a lot of treatments that we can offer as interventional radiologists. Thank you so much.